Hello, I'm Alan, and welcome to today's edition of Alan's Cycling Adventures. Today is Sunday, March 3rd. It is really early. It is about 5:30 in the morning. The reason I'm starting this early is because my training plan calls for an 85-mile ride. However, while Sundays are my day for my long rides usually, it is also a day that I get to spend with Teresa, and so I am starting, I would say bright and early, but it's not bright out yet. But I'm starting out early to try to preserve some of the afternoon to spend with her. So it is about 9 weeks until my bike tour, and it's getting real. Anyway, if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, or ideas for future editions of Alan's Cycling Adventures, be sure to leave them in the comments below. And of course, if you enjoyed today's video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, click the subscribe button to subscribe to my channel, and without further ado, let's ride! This week I'm going to do something a little bit different with the voiceover. One of the things that I've been including for a while is a list of all of the towns that I rode through, both going out and coming back when it's an out and back route like this one. I started doing that because one of my subscribers, who I actually know personally, had asked me, what towns do you ride through? Where exactly did this ride take place? And I told her, and she said, you should add that to the voiceover. So I did. But I have noticed that there's a trend that people tend to watch the beginning of my video, and then the amount of viewers who stay on drop off considerably by about 2 or 3 minutes in, and less than a third of you watch the video all the way to the end. I don't know if that's because of the content or if that is just because of how long these videos are. But in the event that the content plays a role, I think my list of towns is not the most exciting thing to talk about. So I'm not going to include it in this video. What I will say is, if you look at my last couple of videos, it's essentially the same route as this one. In this particular case, the difference between the 80-mile video from February and the 85-mile video, this one, is I actually went about 2.5 miles further north on that bike path. So maybe there's one more town, I don't know. But in any event, if you're interested in what towns I rode through, just watch my previous video and you'll get pretty much the list. I will talk about the statistics of the ride, though, as well as some thoughts that I had either during or after the ride. This ride did take place on March 3rd, Sunday. The weather actually was pretty nice. The day before, March 2nd, it poured rain, and I got absolutely soaked on that ride. But on this particular ride, with the exception of a droplet or two on the camera lens at some point, which was probably from riding through a puddle or something, and not actual rain, I stayed pretty dry. So the weather was certainly nice. At the start, it was partly cloudy, 46 degrees Fahrenheit, with a feels-like temperature of 45 degrees Fahrenheit. The humidity was 93%. The wind was almost non-existent. It was 0.8 miles per hour from the west-northwest. It may have picked up a little bit by the end, but I don't remember it being particularly windy on this ride at any point. The total length of the ride was 85.08 miles, Funny little observation, the reason why it is so close to 85 miles is because when I turned the corner to get back to Teresa's house, I glanced down at the cycle computer, and as I was pulling up on her driveway, it was at like 84.8 something. And since it was supposed to be an 85-mile ride, there was no way I was ending at 84.8 something. So I basically went down the block, turned around, and came back. And that's why it's 85.08. My average speed on this particular day was 14.8 miles per hour. My maximum speed was 35.4. If I were a little bit gutsier, I definitely could have gone much faster than that in terms of the max speed, because on the way out, there is one, I won't call it a fairly substantial climb because it's not that long, it's less than half a mile, but it's pretty steep. And so coming back, I ride down that. But there's a couple of turns and a couple of four-way stops and stuff like that on that section. And so, yeah, coming down that hill, I don't have the guts to just pedal as hard as I can and go as fast as I can. Because I'm not sure I'd be able to stop in time if I needed to. And having been hit by a car once before, it is not a experience that I recommend or ever want to repeat. My total moving time was 5 hours, 44 minutes, and 56 seconds. And I had an elapsed time of 6 hours, 31 minutes, and 40 seconds. My average heart rate was 127 beats per minute with a maximum heart rate of 149. I burned a total of 2,089 calories, according to Garmin anyway. My average cadence was 72. Not totally sure if I believe the max cadence or not. It says my max cadence was 165. Given that I don't tend to spin the pedals very fast, I'm not sure I believe that, although sometimes going downhill, I pedal pretty hard to see how fast I can get going downhill. So maybe I hit 165 on one of the downhill sections, not sure. My total elevation gain, well, according to Garmin, it was 2,700 something. But Garmin uses a barometric sensor to estimate total elevation, and I don't know that that's necessarily the most accurate way. So I actually had Strava recalculate it based on their base map, and Strava said that the total elevation gain was 2,428 feet. So I'm going to go with that. A couple of observations that I have from this ride. The first one has to do with the courtesy and attentiveness of people in different areas. Being a lifelong New Jersey resident, I think not just myself, but I think many New Jersey residents sort of look down on New York drivers. Not sure why, not sure where that came from, but I do tend to have a somewhat negative prejudice against New York drivers. With that said, on this bike path that you see me on now, there are a number of sections where the bike path crosses a side road. And of course, every time you cross a road, whether it's the highway or a side road, there's a stop sign, and there's signs saying that you must walk your bike across the road, which I don't, but I do stop and make sure it's clear. And on nearly all of the side roads that I crossed, which were all in Westchester County, New York, one or more drivers saw me waiting to cross and came to a stop and waved me through. And so I thanked them and continued on my ride. In contrast, I made it through 82-ish miles without incident. I get back to Bergen County, New Jersey. My girlfriend jokes about Bergen County drivers. And technically, my 2 near crashes were not involving drivers. One was involving somebody on a motorized scooter, and one was a pedestrian. In any event, as I was getting close to the house, I saw a guy on a motorized scooter standing there, looking both ways, looking obviously to cross the road, looked right at me, saw me approaching, waited until I was almost on him, and started to cross the road. I shouted to him, "Where are you going?" as I barely made it around him and he nearly fell. And he shouted foul words at me, like I did something wrong. Well, dude, if you're listening or if word gets back to you, you're an idiot. You saw me, you looked right at me, you knew I was going to be passed in a second or two, and you knew that there was nobody behind me and nobody coming the other way. You could have and should have waited. Anyway, then with not even a quarter mile to go, I was on River Road in Fairlawn, and there's a number of cars parallel parked on the side of the road, and there's a fair amount of traffic, and it's 1 lane each direction. So I'm keeping to the right, watching for brake lights, watching for any sign of a car about to open their door or pull out, and trying to let the cars behind me get past in a timely manner. And a pedestrian steps out from between 2 parked cars, and I nearly ran her over. I shouted to her as I was approaching, and she jumped back, and that was a good thing because otherwise that could have ended badly, especially since there was a car coming. In any event, another observation I had from this trip was at one of the traffic lights I came to, I saw a really cool looking SUV, a blue SUV. I think it was a BMW. I say I think because every marking as to what the car was taped over with black electrical tape. And the SUV had vehicle manufacturer plates, which I could count on one hand the number of times I've seen vehicle manufacturer plates. The logo, the main logo, was round and looked like it might have been a BMW logo. So, BMW, whatever that new SUV is that I saw, looks nice. I liked it. So good job there. Anyway, at this point in the video, I am rapidly approaching the house. And so that's all for my thoughts for today. I do hope you liked this version of the voiceover. If you didn't, let me know in the comments. Thanks. That was awesome. This has been a successful weekend. I did 40 miles on Friday. I did 70 miles on Saturday in the pouring rain. And today was a beautiful day for my 85-mile ride. Next week, 100 miles. I hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, stay safe out there.